The views and opinions expressed in this channel are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views of our guests. The views and the opinions of the guest do not represent nor reflect the views and opinions of the Lockoutmen channel, nor its host. Our guests' opinions are their own. This channel is for educational, entertainment, and informational purposes only, and utilizes fair use materials in accordance with applicable laws.
Today, drivers, we about to talk about the realities of the road and a lot of things that a lot of drivers don't talk about in social media as much. See, you guys think it's all gravy out here until the reality meets the road. And I'm here to talk about something that you guys don't really want to talk about. Y'all don't want to hear this shit. Y'all don't want to hear the somber shit. Y'all want to hear a truck driver out here lollygagging about how much they're making, lollygagging on how much they're having fun, seeing the world, seeing the sights. That's what y'all want to hear. Y'all don't want to hear or talk about the reality of trucking. Y'all don't want to hear that. Far from it. For real. Y'all don't want to know nothing about what's going on out here. Imagine seeing one of your fellow drivers in a truck stop. He looks like he's sleeping, but he's not. You walk over there, and as you're getting closer and closer and closer, your hearts start to race because now you're feeling that something is dramatically the matter. As you get closer to the driver's side door, you look in and you see the horror. It's going to be incredibly difficult for you to imagine because that's what's going on in this video today. It's going to be incredibly difficult to watch, but it highlights a reality that we all need to be more aware of. It's about the men and the women who spend their lives on the road to keep our country running, and that is the truck drivers. Now, of course, what we're about to talk about, the moment when this person discovered this unresponsive driver in his cab. It's a sad scene, but it's a scene that's becoming more often, and I am here to shed a little light on the unseen struggles of this demanding profession we call trucking.
Before we get started, does anyone want to get out?
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for listening. I am Lockout Men, and our story begins with this man in a red shirt that's approaching a semi-truck. A truck belongs to Giorgio Foods, as seen on the side of the door. At this point, it just looks like a normal day at the truck stop. But as the guy in the red shirt gets closer and closer to the door and realizes that something is the matter, he gets up to the door. He sees the driver kind of slumped over. He looks through the driver's side window and can immediately can tell something is wrong. The man's posture changes quickly. He climbs up on the door to check and see if the driver is all right. And unfortunately, it becomes a lot more clear. The driver has slumped over completely, and it's unfortunate that he is unresponsive. Of course, our guy in the red shirt is definitely devastated as he's trying to see if the driver will become responsive, shaking his shoulders, shaking him. But unfortunately, there's no response. And as you can see, the panic and devastation realization washes over that man as he puts his hands up to his head in distress. Of course, you guys see another person that stands nearby and witness this heartbreaking moment. Of course, as you guys can see, the overlay, which is rest in peace driver, which unfortunately leaving no doubt about the outcome. This wasn't just the driver sleeping. This was a discovery of a life lost on the job. So drivers, here's why this video and this podcast is so important to talk about. It's because it's not just an isolated incident. It's a window into an immense pressure and health risks that us truck drivers face every single day. Trucking is consistently ranked as the #1 most dangerous jobs for obvious reasons. Problems like high blood pressure, diabetes, heart conditions, and everything else that comes along with the job are tragically common in this industry. Lots of us take our health for granted, knowing that this job literally changes us when we get into it. Not only that, sleep patterns come into play, but we also got sleep deprivation. We also got sleep apnea. We got drivers out here driving lights out and falling asleep behind the wheel with tragic consequences. All because we're not taking care of ourselves, and all because we're letting companies manipulate us, take advantage of us, and just have us to do what they're wanting to do without any care in the world. See, this trucking job requires an incredible amount of sacrifices that most of you guys never see. Because you got to understand, behind every truck you see on the highway, there is a person making a living sacrifice for their families. There's one that called out a company that had that tragic accident on I-20, and he said it out of his own mouth that if he don't run them miles, he's not going to be able to feed his family. He's not going to be able to pay the rent.
I could have quit. I could have said no. I was one paycheck loss away from my wife and kids losing our house.
That's the sacrifices. That's the manipulation that some of these companies put on these drivers. And all because these drivers out here just either A, looking for a second chance, or B, out here just trying to take care of their families. But let's talk about the lack of support, though. Let's talk about the aftermath of this situation right here that's dealing with this driver right here. Yes, it's a tragic situation. Yes, the company is going to reach out to the family and let them know. But here's what happens after a tragedy like this. Of course, for the family, the nightmare is just beginning. And unfortunately, this is where another harsh reality of the industry can come into focus. See, many families and drivers have shared stories of companies doing absolutely nothing when it comes to a driver passing away on the road. In some of the most heartbreaking accounts, the financial and logistical burden of bringing their loved ones home falls entirely on the grieving family, with no hope and no help from the company at all. Imagine getting that call and then realizing you're on your own to navigate getting your loved one, your husband, father, son, mother, daughter, sister, body back from hundreds or even thousands of miles away. Worse yet, stories abound of companies' primary focus shifting with what many feel is shocking speed, getting the driver's personal belongings out so that the truck can be cleaned and put back on the road with a new driver in it. And I guarantee you this, that new driver that's driving that truck would never know that that truck has somebody that passed in it. Now, let's be honest. Would you drive that truck after finding that out, though? See, this can feel incredibly dehumanizing to a family that just lost everything. Their loved one is gone, and to them, it seems that the main concern is the asset, the truck. Think about it. Think about it. Company is going to call you up. They're going to come with some bullshit ass, oh, I'm sorry for your loss. Oh, he was a good driver, blah, blah, blah. Maybe offer you some kind of a compensation or anything of that matter. And then that's it. That's the end of their quote unquote support. Are you going to be in a position to even bring your loved one home? And when by that, are you going to be in a financial situation? Because it's going to take finances to move a body from one spot to another spot, especially if it's coming cross country. Now, there are programs like Final Mile and other trucking programs of that magnitude that families can honestly reach out to. But even with Final Mile, they're stretched thin because they're a nonprofit. They can only operate on donations and grants. And if they don't have that much, it's not much that they can do in your time of need either. But shout out to networks like that, though, that will help the family in their time of need. Of course, there is the GoFundMe for the drivers, because the driver is 9 times out of 10 is the breadwinner for the family. And when that part of the asset is cut off, the burden of financials is going to lie on the family. There's a lot with that. And in situations like this, where a driver just damn near drive himself to death, it's crazy to even have that thought go across your mind. But yet that thought needs to go across your mind, because a lot of drivers like myself, I'm scared of that. I don't want to die in this truck alone. That's why I take care of myself. That's why if I feel tired, I'm going to rest. I'm going to get out the truck. I'm going to walk around. I'm going to get a little bit of exercise to get that blood pumping, because you're sitting all day. Well, in most cases, you're not. At least I'm not, because I do take breaks. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the 30-minute mandatory break. If I feel tired or anything like that, I'm going to have to get up. But your health is important, drivers. Important enough to talk about this harsh reality that we're facing. Drivers all over are being found in truck stops. Let that sink in. You think a driver that's sitting up there watching TV and everything, only to know that he's gone. A driver that goes in the back of his bunk, lays down for the night, and you notice that the truck been there for like a couple of days with nobody checking on it. After you do your 34, you never seen the driver get out of the truck, walk around the truck, do a pre-trip on his truck, post-trip on his truck. What do you do in a situation like that? It's scary. This is a topic that a lot of drivers, especially newfound drivers that come out in this industry that's over here talking about, I'm going to get the bag. I'm going to get the bag. I don't mind running lights out and stuff like that. But until you come up in a situation like this, like the tragedy on I-20 or the tragedy of finding a driver unresponsive, it's crazy. See, this story is a call for all of us to have more compassion and respect for the truck drivers. It's also a call for a company to reevaluate their protocol and treat their drivers and their families with dignity they deserve, both in life and crucially in death. Our condolences goes out to this man's family, friends, colleagues. May he rest in peace. May he find peace. Next time, people, you see a truck on the road, take a second to remember the person behind the wheel. Until next time, everybody.
Thank you for watching and for being part of this difficult but important conversation. If this video moved you, please hit the like button to help spread this message, and subscribe for more content that shines a light on the human stories often left in the dark. For the drivers, their families, and anyone connected to the industry watching, what is the one thing you wish the general public truly understood about the realities of your profession? Please share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. Your perspective is incredibly valuable, and we can all learn from each other. And if you have a personal story that you believe needs to be heard on a deeper level, we want to listen. If you're willing to share your experience, whether it's about a lack of company support, the health challenges on the road, or a moment of kindness you'll never forget, please send us an email at lockoutmenpodcastguest@gmail.com. Next time you see a truck on the road, take a second to remember the person behind the wheel. Stay safe.